Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rslash Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, you can't continue working from home because you go idle and chat too often. Can you please stop parking on my lawn, Liquid Ass Edition? You locked my toddler in a closet. Enjoy the feeling of a much lighter pocketbook and roasting in the summer heat. Oh, you didn't like that grass, right? Suspended over the supposed theft of a $7 fish. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You can't continue working from home because you go idle and chat too often. As part of the plan to return to office post-COVID, my company has done a lot of redesignating of who can permanently work from home, who can hybrid, etc. I really wanted to work from home full-time. I hate the office with a burning passion. It's distracting, it's a long commute, there's no benefit to being there, so on and so forth. I'd just rather be at home. Well, when we thought May was going to go back to office time, they started giving out the new designations. I got designated as in office full-time. It made no sense to me. I work on a team of 8 people and each of us is in a different office somewhere in the country. I've literally never been to an in-person meeting or needed to do in-person work in 3 years at this company. Every single other person on my team got designated to work from home. So I brought it up with my boss and asked to work from home. When I started at this company and lived elsewhere, I got to work from home for 4 months before I moved, and the past 14 months during COVID have been at home, so 18/36 months at the company have been WFH. What I was told is that I go idle too often and chat to trust to work from home. Basically, we have a company-wide IM system that shows you as available, idle, or in a meeting. If you don't touch your keyboard for 5 minutes, you show as idle. So they've decided to use this as a measure for who is working and who isn't. The thing is, like many people in many types of jobs, I don't have sh*t to do for a full 8 hours every single day. The amount of work I have to do on a typical day takes 3 to 5 hours of actual attention. There simply isn't something to do all the time. My performance numbers actually went up working from home. By all objective KPI numbers, I'm a better worker at home. In fact, in the KPIs that I don't flat out lead the team in, I come in second. There isn't work to do that I'm neglecting or procrastinating. When something comes up, I simply do it until it's done, or until I can't do any more due to waiting on someone else, then stop. And I've done that method long enough that my work queue stays empty, because I work to get my queue down to the point where when something comes up I can immediately address it and be done with it. But because I have other ways to spend my time and downtime, instead of messing around online at my cube pretending to be working, meaning I show idle more often, I'm a worse worker apparently. I was told if it weren't for that they would let me work at home. So I wrote a 6-line PowerShell script that virtually inputs the period key every 4 minutes, that starts running every day at 8 a.m. and stops at 5 p.m. So now I literally never go idle. I do the same amount of work and still read books, watch TV, and play video games on the side. But I have a shiny green check next to my name all day. Because of COVID complications, they eventually said no going back until after Labor Day. I just had a meeting with my boss and he said over this time they've noticed I go idle a lot less than I used to, so they're changing my designation to work from home, all because of a little icon in some software. This concludes my TED Talk on why low to middle level managers are the dumbest, most useless do-nothing positions in all of corporate America. Can you please stop parking on my lawn, Liquid Ass Edition? I used to live in a small house, on a small block with very narrow front lawns, with neighbors very close by. The family over the road had the 2 parents and 5 boys from about 18 down to 7. They were loud, obnoxious, and their way was right. Always doing burnouts, revving their sh*T4 silk cars with straight pipes, etc. They had a dozen cats that would be out all night, pissing on everything, killing birds and other wildlife. I turned the hose on 2 cats I saw in my garden. The mum saw it and wasn't the least bit happy. I just waved at her. They would occasionally send the youngest over to try to talk to me about I am going to hell for my sins. Anyway, Mum had a car, Dad had a car, the two eldest had a car each, and there was a project car. Nowhere near enough space for these cars, so they would park one or two up the road at a park and walk down. One day one son decided to park on my front lawn. No biggie. 1 or 2 days won't matter. I'm pretty accommodating. A few days later it was still there. I saw the dad and said I needed the car moved. It was moved, and I mowed the lawn. It was a very nice lawn. Green, thick, healthy. One of the better ones in my street. That afternoon, the car was back on my freshly mowed lawn. This isn't going to resolve itself. I saw them again the next day, and said they can't keep parking on my lawn. They have their own space, or keep parking up the street. You've only got one car. We have 5 cars, we need the space. Yep, well the park is a 1-minute walk away, keep parking there. The car was parked back on my lawn again. I saw the dad, never saw the son, and said he needs to move the car. I'm doing some gardening and don't want to damage it, and don't want it in my way. It will be alright, he told me. Like it will. So I got out bags of blood and bone, and threw out heaps of it. It stank. In the garden, on the lawns, some got on the car. Whatever. Dad said it would be fine. It stunk. Being a petty individual at times, this being one of them, I got a bottle of fart spray called Liquid is out of the house. I opened the lid and poured a little along the base of the windscreen, where the aircon intake is. Then a little more. I had a chuckle and put the sprinkles on and went inside. About 30 minutes later son gets in his car to go out. I hear him go "Aw WTF," and he slammed his car door and drove off. The son never said anything to me, but the dad was pretty upset. He told me how much the car stank from whatever it was I did to my garden, and the son was pissed 'cause some girl he liked wouldn't get in the car with him. I just said it's okay, it will be alright. He stopped parking there after that. You locked my toddler in a closet. Enjoy the feeling of a much lighter pocketbook and roasting in the summer heat. Oh, you didn't like that grass, right? In the height of summer and in the deep south of the USA, there were 3 siblings, 3F me, 6F, 8M, and their mom, 28F. Mom had to take my sister to a last-minute doctor's appointment, so she left my brother and me with a trusted neighbor across the street, 28F. Let's call her Barb. I was a sickly kid with separation anxiety, so I started crying after Mom left. When Barb couldn't get me to stop, she locked me in the hall closet with the light off until I calmed down. According to my brother, it was a full episode of Blue's Clues before I was let out. By the time Mom got back, he was watching TV, and I was napping like nothing was amiss. She didn't think anything was wrong until my brother told her what had happened after we got home. Now, Mom was a non-confrontational person, but she was spiteful and vindictive AF. She stewed for a day or two before coming to a boil. In the dark of early morning, she snuck over to Barb's, opened the control panel on the side of the house, and turned off the AC. In the sweltering heat of that afternoon, Barb called Mom, not knowing she was pissed, to complain that she had to pay $150 to have someone come out and fix their AC. The repairman didn't tell her it was just switched off. Their lack of integrity made this revenge so much better when Mom decided to do the same thing the next night. It was music to Mom's ears when Barb called again to complain that she had had to shell out another $150 to the same repairman, who still didn't tell her it wasn't broken. When Barb's AC broke for the 3rd day in a row, she decided to call a different repairman who happened to be a little more morally inclined. Barb was incensed when she called Mom with this news. Who would do such a thing? After Barb wised up and bought a lock for the control panel, Mom couldn't continue that punishment. She didn't feel like Barb had suffered enough though. This horrid woman locked Mom's 3-year-old in the dark she was terrified of, and let her cry herself into exhaustion. Mom needed something that would last. Much of the southern USA has a hard time keeping their lawns green and healthy. It takes water and effort to maintain. Barb put a lot of water and a lot of effort into her yard. It was with great relish that Mom went out on the fourth morning and poured bleach all over Barb's beautiful green grass. From the moment the sun warmed Barb's lawn that summer until the grass died that fall, the whole neighborhood saw Mom's handiwork call Barb a B*TCH from her own front yard. Suspended over the supposed theft of a $7 fish. Okay, so I've worked at this pet company for literally 6 years. I have seen managers come and go, and yet I remained. I was a good employee. I came into work on my days off, always showed up early if needed, and had many customers only want to deal specifically with me. This company I worked at has gone downhill since I began working there, but started to get really bad about 3 years ago, but I stuck with it because I genuinely enjoyed it. Now a little backstory. I'm a former foster kid. This is relevant information. And when I was a child, I was always accused of stealing simply because I was a foster kid, and so I promised myself that when I grew up, if anyone ever accused me of theft, and I 100% didn't do it, I would be out of there. About 3.5 weeks ago, I was called into the office and sat down by a phone. Now I was chipper and ready to talk to this person as I had nothing to be worried about, and then the conversation changed. Instead of asking about my animals, I was now being told about what this person did for the company. As soon as the conversation started to change, I reverted back to my childhood, and I could feel myself start to panic as memories from my childhood of being accused of things, so I straight up asked, "Am I being accused of theft within this company?" To which they responded, "Well, there was an incident." Well, let's not call it an incident. Around mid-December, you seen on camera is picking up a betta fish, walking into pet care, and then leaving the store. I did ask to see it but wasn't given the option. I don't doubt that what they saw was real, but what the camera probably didn't show was me throwing it out because they are in cups and die all the time. The person on the other end of the phone kept asking the same questions and repeating, "I'm just looking for that honesty piece," to which I kept responding, "Okay, but I didn't do it, tho." I ended up getting suspended for a week and my manager had to walk me out of the store. It was humiliating. So a week later, I am given a phone call and told that the investigation was done, and that I could come in for shifts. Great, they probably found me not guilty, and are going to apologize. Nope, they doubled down, handing me a couple papers going over more infractions that I supposedly did. The funny thing is, my record is so clean, and I had never been sat down for specific infractions before, yet all of a sudden now they exist. Convenient. So I signed the papers, went through my entire shift, and then went home to write my resignation letter. Here's the thing about my job position: I am the pet trainer at my location, and I schedule classes 3 months in advance. Because of COVID, we were shut down for a little bit, but we were said to reopen training a couple days after they brought me back. There is no doubt in my mind that they already had another trainer getting ready to fill my position, because the second day back they had me calling all of my clients to tell them that everything was back on. Of course, I spent my entire shift making fake phone calls and left my resignation on the desk effective immediately. Hope they had fun calling 3 months worth of classes. I have an even better job lined up. I hope it was worth it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.